Hello and welcome, my dear listeners. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. You are listening to Today English Podcast, the place where we help you improve your English speaking, listening, and communication skills in a fun, simple, and effective way. If you want to speak English fluently, clearly, and confidently, you're in the right place. Today's topic is very special. Think in English and speak fluently. Yes, you heard that right. Thinking in English is one of the best and fastest ways to become a fluent English speaker. Have you ever had this experience? You understand English well, but you can't speak easily. You translate every word from your native language before you speak. You pause a lot because you're searching for the right word. You feel nervous or afraid of making mistakes. If your answer is yes to any of these, don't worry. You are not alone. Almost every English learner faces these problems at some point. But here's the good news, you can train your brain to think in English. And once you do, speaking will become so much easier and faster. Now imagine this for a moment. What if English words and sentences came to your mind naturally, without translation? What if you could speak smoothly, clearly, and confidently in any situation at school, at work, or while traveling abroad? Sounds amazing, right? Well, in this episode, I'm going to show you simple, practical, and fun ways to train your brain to think in English. Here's what we'll talk about today. Why thinking in English is so important for fluency. Common challenges and how to overcome them. Step-by-step techniques to start thinking in English. Daily exercises to train your brain. How thinking in English leads to confidence and natural fluency. So whether you are a student, a professional, or just someone who wants to speak English with ease, stay with me till the end. I also have some special exercises for you that will help you start thinking in English immediately. You definitely don't want to miss them. All right, are you ready? Let's get started. Seedling, what does thinking really mean? Before we talk about thinking in English, let's first understand what thinking actually is. Thinking is what happens inside your mind when you understand, imagine, or decide something. It's how you process ideas, solve problems, and express your feelings. We think all the time from the moment we wake up until we go to sleep. We think about what to eat, what to wear, how to get to work, what to say to our friends, and even how to reach our goals. Sometimes we think in words, like a voice in our head. Sometimes we think in pictures, like when we imagine a place or remember someone's face. And sometimes we think in feelings, like when we sense happiness or worry without using words. Thinking is powerful. It shapes what we do, how we act, and how we communicate. It's like the engine of our mind, always running, always helping us make choices and understand the world. Thought balloon, what does it mean to think in English? Now, what does it mean to think in English? Thinking in English means that you use English inside your mind when you process ideas or make decisions. Instead of translating from your native language, your brain works directly in English. For example, imagine you see a tree. If your first thought is in your own language, maybe Arbal Spanish or Gach Bengali, and then you translate it into tree, that's still translation. But if your first thought is simply tree, without translating, that's thinking in English. It might sound like a small change, but it makes a big difference. When you think directly in English, you speak faster and more smoothly. Feel more natural in conversations. Stop overthinking every word. Build confidence and fluency. It's just like how a musician doesn't think about each note before playing, they just play. When you train your brain to think in English, speaking becomes automatic and natural. Rocket, why thinking in English improves fluency. Thinking in English helps you speak fluently because it removes the extra step of translation. When you translate in your head, you waste time, lose confidence, and sometimes forget the right words. But when you think in English, your thoughts and your words become one. You speak as you think, naturally, smoothly, and confidently. It also helps you feel more connected to the language. English stops being just a subject you study. It becomes a part of your daily life and your way of thinking. In the next part of this episode, we'll talk about how you can start thinking in English step by step, and I'll share some easy daily exercises that you can do anytime, even while walking, cooking, or traveling. So don't go anywhere, stay tuned, and let's continue learning how to think in English and speak fluently. Studio microphone: why thinking in English is so important. Many English learners struggle with speaking fluently because they translate every word in their heads before they speak. This extra step slows down the conversation and makes it harder to express thoughts smoothly. When you train your brain to think directly in English, you remove that slow, confusing step of translation. Everything becomes faster, easier, and more natural. You start to feel more confident, and your communication becomes clear and automatic. So why is thinking in English such a powerful skill? Let's explore some key reasons together. Glowing star 1. Thinking in English speeds up your speaking. One of the biggest problems many learners face is that they speak too slowly. This happens because they're always translating first from English to their native language and then back again. Let's imagine a simple situation. You're at a coffee shop, and the barista asks, "What would you like to order?" Now, if you're thinking in your native language, here's what happens. You translate the question into your own language. You think of your answer in that language. You translate your answer into English. You finally speak the answer. That's a lot of steps and a lot of time. But if you think in English, it becomes much faster. You understand the question in English. You form your answer in English. You speak your answer in English. No translation. No delay. Just smooth, natural conversation. That's how native speakers do it. They don't stop to translate. They simply speak. When you practice thinking in English, your brain starts working like that too. 2. Thinking in English helps you learn naturally. When you think in English, you start learning like a native speaker, naturally, without memorizing long lists of grammar rules or translations. Think about how babies learn to speak. They don't study grammar books. They hear words, connect them to real things or actions, and begin to think in that language. You can train your brain in the same way. For example, instead of memorizing that run means career in Spanish or career in French, you simply connect the word run with the action of running. When you hear run, you don't translate, you just imagine the action. This kind of learning makes your English more natural and automatic. You begin to feel the language instead of just studying it. Speech balloon 3. Thinking in English builds confidence. Many English learners feel nervous when speaking because they're afraid of making mistakes or forgetting words. Translation makes this even harder because it takes time, and that delay can make you lose confidence. When you think in English, you stop worrying about translation. Your brain starts forming sentences directly in English, so your responses come out faster and smoother. Imagine you're at a party and someone asks you, "Where are you from?" If you've been thinking in English, you'll easily say, "I'm from Brazil." You won't need to pause, translate, or hesitate. But if your brain is still working in your native language, you'll probably stop, think, translate, and then speak, and that can make you feel unsure or shy. Confidence doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from practice and comfort. The more you think in English, the more comfortable you become, and the more confident you'll sound. Headphone 4. Thinking in English improves listening skills. When you think in English, your brain gets used to hearing, processing, and understanding the language without translation. This makes your listening skills stronger and faster. Many learners find listening hard because they try to translate everything they hear. By the time they finish translating one sentence, the speaker has already moved on to the next one. For example, imagine you're watching an English movie and you hear someone say, "Let's grab a bite." If you try to translate every single word, you might get confused. You might think grab, bite? What does that mean together? But if you think in English, your brain quickly understands that let's grab a bite means let's go eat something. You don't need to translate word by word, you understand the idea instantly. Thinking in English helps you catch meaning, rhythm, and emotion much faster. It makes conversations and movies easier to follow and much more enjoyable. Rainbow in short. Thinking in English helps you speak faster and more naturally. Learn English the way native speakers do. Feel confident and relaxed while speaking. Understand others more easily when listening. It's one of the most powerful habits you can build if you want to sound fluent and confident in English. Studio microphone thinking in English helps you sound natural. 5. Thinking in English helps you sound more natural when you speak. When you translate from your native language, your sentences might sound a little strange or unnatural in English. That's because every language has its own grammar, structure, and expressions. What sounds normal in one language might sound unusual in another. But when you think directly in English, your sentences naturally follow English patterns, the way native speakers actually say them. For example, in some languages, people say, "How many years do you have?" That's perfectly fine in their language, but in English we say, "How old are you?" If you think in English, you will automatically use the correct form without translating. You won't have to stop and wonder if something sounds right. It just will. Thinking in English trains your brain to feel the language, not just memorize it. Your words flow more smoothly, your grammar improves naturally, and your pronunciation sounds more authentic. Headphone thinking in English makes English part of your daily life. 6. Thinking in English helps you make English a natural part of your daily life. If you want to be fluent, English shouldn't be something you use only in class or during study time. It should become part of your everyday thinking, something you live with. When you start thinking in English, you stay connected to the language all day long, even when you're alone or not actively studying. For example, when you wake up, instead of thinking Tengo que levantarme, Spanish for I have to get up, try to think I have to get up. When you see an object, name it in English. If you see your phone, say to yourself, my phone is charging. When you plan your day, think in English. After breakfast, I'll go for a walk. At first, it might feel strange or difficult. But with daily practice, it becomes natural. You'll start to notice that English words come to your mind automatically. The more you do this, the closer you get to fluency without even realizing it. Glowing star, let's review the benefits. Thinking in English is one of the most powerful tools for fluency. It helps you speak faster and respond more naturally. Learn English in a natural, effortless way. Gain confidence and reduce nervousness. Improve your listening and understanding skills. Sound more natural and accurate when speaking. Make English part of your everyday life. The more you train your brain to think in English, the more automatic your fluency becomes. Step by step, English will stop feeling like a foreign language and start feeling like your second nature. Studio microphone common challenges of thinking in English and how to overcome them. Now that you know why thinking in English is so powerful, let's talk about something just as important, the challenges that learners face when trying to do it. Thinking in English can feel difficult at first. Many learners get stuck translating from their native language, and this slows down their speaking and thinking. But don't worry, it's completely normal. Every learner goes through this stage, and there are practical ways to move past it. Let's explore some of the most common challenges and how to overcome them. Thaw Balloon Challenge 1. Translating from your native language. One of the biggest challenges for English learners is the habit of translating everything from their native language before speaking or writing. This happens because the brain is used to your first language. It feels natural to think in it, so when you try to speak English, your brain wants to translate word by word. But this slows you down and often leads to mistakes or confusion. For example, you might think, I go always to school by bus. Because in your language, that word order makes sense. But in English, we say, I always go to school by bus. The words are the same, but the structure is different and translation can easily mix them up. White heavy checkmark solution. Immerse yourself in English every day. The best way to stop translating is through immersion, surrounding yourself with English as much as possible. Listen to English podcasts, songs, or audiobooks every day. Watch movies or shows in English, with English subtitles if needed. Read simple English books, articles, or social media posts. Think in English about your day, your plans, or your feelings. When you're surrounded by English, your brain starts to link words directly with their meanings, not with translations. Over time, you'll begin to understand and speak automatically without needing to think twice. The more exposure you get, the faster your brain builds direct English connections. Studio microphone common challenges of thinking in English and how to overcome them, Part 2. In the last part, we talked about one of the biggest challenges, translating from your native language, and how to stop doing it by immersing yourself in English. Now, let's continue with a few more common challenges that many learners face and learn some practical ways to overcome them. Books 2. Limited vocabulary. Another big challenge is having a limited vocabulary. When you don't know enough words, it becomes difficult to express your thoughts in English. You might stop mid-sentence, feel frustrated, or hesitate while trying to find the right words. This hesitation can make conversations slow and uncomfortable. But don't worry, this is completely normal. Every learner starts with a small vocabulary. The good news is you can grow it every single day. White heavy checkmark solution. Learn words in context. One of the best ways to expand your vocabulary is by learning words in context, not in isolation. Instead of memorizing single words, learn them through phrases or full sentences. For example, instead of only learning the word beautiful, try using it in different sentences. The sunset is beautiful. She wore a beautiful dress. That's a beautiful song. When you learn words this way, you understand how they're used in real life, and it becomes much easier to remember and use them naturally when you think in English. You can also keep a small vocabulary notebook. Use apps like Anki or Quizlet to review new words every day. Practice speaking or writing sentences with your new words. The more often you see and use a word, the more automatic it becomes. Soon, these words will start to appear naturally in your thoughts and conversations. Speech balloon 3. Fear of making mistakes. Another challenge that stops many learners from thinking in English is the fear of making mistakes. This fear can be very powerful. You might worry about saying something wrong, sounding funny, or being misunderstood. Because of that, some learners avoid speaking or even thinking in English altogether, and that slows down their progress. White heavy checkmark solution. Embrace mistakes as part of learning. Here's the truth. Mistakes are proof that you are learning. Nobody learns a language perfectly without making errors, not even native speakers. Instead of being afraid of mistakes, try to see them as your teachers. Every mistake helps you improve. You can also practice in safe, supportive environments where you won't feel judged. For example, join English-speaking clubs or online communities. Practice with friends or study partners. Work with a teacher or tutor who corrects you kindly. When you make a mistake, don't feel embarrassed, take a breath, correct it, and move on. Over time, your fear will fade and your confidence will grow. Remember, every small step counts. Celebrate your progress, not your perfection. Brain 4. Overthinking and mental blocks. Another common challenge is overthinking. When you're trying to speak or think in English, you might stop and think too much about grammar, vocabulary, or sentence structure. You may want to make everything perfect before saying it. But this pressure can cause a mental block, your brain freezes, and the words just won't come out. White heavy checkmark solution. Focus on fluency. not perfection. The secret is to relax and aim for fluency before accuracy. Don't worry about getting every single word right. Start small and simple. Use short, clear sentences. For example, instead of worrying about saying, "I haven't finished reading the book that my friend gave me last week because I've been too busy," you can just say, "I didn't finish the book yet. I was busy." It's simple, but it communicates your idea clearly. You can always correct grammar later as you improve, but first, you need to let the words flow. Also, give yourself time. Thinking in English is like exercising a muscle. The more you do it, the stronger it gets. Try to think in English as naturally as you think in your own language. Don't stop to analyze every sentence. Trust your instincts. The more you practice, the less you'll overthink, and the easier it will become to express yourself freely and confidently. Studio microphone, let's review. We've now talked about 4 big challenges and how to overcome them. Translating from your native language, overcome it by immersing yourself in English. Limited vocabulary, overcome it by learning words in context and using them daily. Fear of mistakes, overcome it by accepting errors as part of the journey. Overthinking and mental blocks, overcome them by focusing on fluency, not perfection. All of these steps bring you closer to thinking naturally in English, and when that happens, fluency will follow. Common challenges of thinking in English and how to overcome them. Thinking in English is one of the biggest steps toward becoming fluent. However, many learners find it difficult at first. You may often catch yourself translating from your native language, searching for words, or feeling nervous about making mistakes. Don't worry, this is completely normal. In this section, we'll look at the most common challenges that learners face when trying to think in English and explore simple ways to overcome them. 1. Translating from your native language. One of the most common problems is translating everything from your native language into English. This usually happens when your brain is still more comfortable with your first language. When you translate word by word, your sentences may sound unnatural, and it can take you longer to speak or understand. How to fix this? The best way to stop translating is to immerse yourself in English as much as possible. Surround yourself with English in your daily life. You can listen to English songs or podcasts, watch movies and TV shows in English, or read books and articles. Try to understand the meaning directly, without thinking about translations. Another helpful method is to practice thinking in English during daily activities. For example, when you are walking, cooking, or cleaning, describe what you're doing in English. I'm washing the dishes. I need to buy some milk. At first, it may feel slow, but with time, your brain will start to think naturally in English. 2. Limited vocabulary. Sometimes, it's hard to think in English because you don't know enough words. When your vocabulary is limited, you may not be able to express your ideas clearly, and this can make you feel stuck or frustrated. How to fix this? Keep learning new words every day, but don't just memorize them, learn them in context. This means learning how words are used in real sentences. For example, instead of only learning the word beautiful, learn how to use it. The sunset is beautiful. She wore a beautiful dress. You can also keep a small notebook or use apps like Anki or Quizlet to review new words regularly. Write short sentences with each new word so your brain remembers how to use them naturally. Over time, you'll find it easier to think in English because you'll have more words ready in your mind. 3. Fear of making mistakes. Many learners are afraid of making mistakes, so they avoid speaking or thinking in English. This fear can stop you from improving and make you depend on your native language even more. How to fix this? Understand that mistakes are a natural part of learning. Everyone makes them, even native speakers. Instead of feeling embarrassed, see your mistakes as a way to learn and grow. You can practice in a safe and friendly environment, like a conversation club or with a friend who is also learning English. If possible, Work with a tutor who can gently correct your errors. The more you practice, the less afraid you'll feel. Remember, fluency doesn't mean perfection. It means being able to express yourself comfortably. 4. Overthinking and mental blocks. Sometimes, you may feel like your brain freezes when you try to speak or think in English. You want to make your sentence perfect, so you keep thinking too much and then you can't say anything at all. This is called a mental block. How to fix this? Focus on fluency, not perfection. It's okay if your sentence isn't perfect. What matters is communication. Start with short and simple sentences. For example, instead of, although the weather was bad, I decided to go for a walk. You can say, it was raining, but I went for a walk. As you gain confidence, you can make your sentences longer and more complex. Try to relax and let your thoughts flow. Don't worry too much about grammar at first. It will improve naturally with time. 5. Not enough speaking practice. If you don't speak English regularly, it becomes hard to think in English. Your brain forgets how to form sentences quickly, and you might need to translate again. How to fix this? Make speaking practice part of your daily routine. You don't need a partner all the time. You can also talk to yourself in English. For example, describe your day, your plans, or your thoughts out loud. You can also find language exchange partners online or join English-speaking clubs. Record yourself speaking on different topics and listen to the recording. Notice how you sound, what you can improve, and which words you often forget. The more you speak, the easier it becomes to think in English naturally. 6. Inconsistent practice. If you only practice English once in a while, your brain won't get used to it. You'll forget words and lose your rhythm. Consistency is key to building the habit of thinking in English. How to fix this? Try to practice a little every single day. Even 15 to 20 minutes can make a big difference if you do it regularly. You can read an article, listen to a podcast, or watch a short video in English. Make English a part of your daily life. For example, when you wake up, think, I have to get up, not in your native language. When you see something, name it in English. That's a cup. That's my phone. While traveling, describe what you see in English. The more you do this, the more your brain will stay connected to the language. 7. Difficulty with complex thoughts. As you improve, you might find it easy to think in English about simple things, but hard to express deeper ideas, feelings, or complex topics. This is normal, and it happens when you need more advanced vocabulary or sentence structures. How to fix this? Start building your advanced English step by step. Read more challenging materials like articles, TED Talks, or books on interesting topics. When you learn new words or expressions, write them down and try to use them in your own sentences. For example, after watching a TED Talk, you can summarize it in your own words. The speaker talked about how technology is changing education. With practice, your ability to think about complex ideas in English will grow naturally. Final thoughts. Thinking in English may feel difficult at first, but it's a skill that grows with time and consistency. Don't rush the process. Be patient with yourself, practice every day, and remember that fluency comes step by step. Each time you think, speak, or even dream in English, you're getting closer to mastering the language. Step-by-step methods to think in English. Thinking in English is one of the most powerful ways to improve your fluency and understanding. When you train your brain to think directly in English, you stop wasting time translating from your native language. This helps you speak faster, sound more natural, and feel more confident in real conversations. However, learning to think in English doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process that develops through consistent effort, daily practice, and patience. By addressing common challenges, such as translating, limited vocabulary, fear of mistakes, overthinking, or inconsistent practice, you can slowly train your mind to work in English automatically. Remember, every mistake is a step forward. Each time you practice, you're building stronger connections in your brain between English words and real thoughts. Over time, English will become a natural part of how you think, not just something you study. Let's now explore practical, step-by-step methods that will help you build this skill. 1. Start with simple vocabulary. The first step in thinking in English is to build a strong foundation with simple, everyday vocabulary. Start with words you use often, the things you do every day, the objects you see around you, and the activities in your routine. Focus on basic nouns, verbs, and adjectives such as eat, sleep, go, work, home, coffee, phone, happy, tired. For example, instead of thinking in your native language and translating, "I need to eat lunch," try forming your thought directly in English. I'm hungry. I want lunch. When you do this, you train your brain to connect English words directly to your ideas without going through translation. Start small and repeat often. With time, this connection will become natural and automatic. 2. Practice describing everyday situations. Once you're comfortable with simple words, start describing what's happening around you. This is an excellent way to strengthen your English thinking habits. For example, if you're in the kitchen, think, "I'm in the kitchen. I see the stove. There are some vegetables on the counter. I'm going to make lunch." You can practice this at any time when walking, cleaning, traveling, or relaxing. Try to describe what you see, what you're doing, and what you plan to do next. This exercise doesn't require anyone else. It's just you and your thoughts. The more you describe your surroundings in English, the more comfortable and natural it will feel to think in the language. 3. Use English for your inner dialogue. Your inner dialogue is the voice inside your head, the thoughts, plans, and questions you constantly tell yourself throughout the day. Using English for this inner voice is one of the most powerful ways to train your brain to think in English. Start with simple self-talk. For example, "Where's my phone? I need to go to the store. I should call my friend later." At first, you may forget and return to your native language, but that's okay. Just remind yourself gently to switch back to English whenever you can. You can also use English when making decisions or reflecting on your day. "I did well today. Tomorrow, I'll try to wake up earlier." The more you think in English during normal moments, the faster your brain adapts. Over time, English will become your natural way of processing thoughts, not something you have to force. Would you like me to continue rewriting the next steps, 4 to 7, in this same clear, conversational style? It will cover 4. Visual thinking in English. 5. Using English media and repetition. 6. Talking to yourself out loud. 7. Building consistency and patience. 3. Use English for your inner dialogue. One of the most powerful ways to start thinking in English is to use English for your inner dialogue. Your inner dialogue is the constant conversation you have with yourself in your mind, the small thoughts, questions, and comments you make every day. Usually, we do this in our native language without even realizing it. But if you start using English for this inner voice, you'll train your brain to process thoughts directly in English instead of translating them. At first, it might feel strange or difficult, but with practice, it becomes more natural. For example, when you wake up in the morning, instead of thinking, "What should I wear today?" in your native language, say it in English. "What should I wear today?" Or when you're deciding whether to exercise, think, "Should I go to the gym or stay home?" If you're feeling upset, say to yourself, "I'm feeling frustrated. How can I solve this problem?" The goal is to make English your automatic language of thought. The more you do this, the faster your brain will adapt. Over time, you'll notice that your thoughts begin to appear naturally in English, without translation. And when that happens, your speaking will also become more fluent and confident because your brain is already thinking in English before you open your mouth. 4. Engage in English immersion. Immersion is one of the most effective ways to train your brain to think in English. When you surround yourself with English, your brain begins to absorb it naturally, just like children learn their first language. Immersion doesn't mean you have to live in an English-speaking country. You can create an English environment right where you are. Here are some simple ways to immerse yourself in English every day. Listen to English podcasts or audiobooks while commuting or exercising. Watch movies and TV shows in English. Start with subtitles if needed, then try without them later. Read books, blogs, or news articles in English. Follow English-speaking YouTubers or social media creators. If possible, talk to native speakers or join online English-speaking communities. The more you expose your brain to English, the easier it becomes to think in the language automatically. Try to spend at least 30 minutes to 1 hour every day with English through listening, reading, or conversation. Soon, you'll start noticing that English words and phrases come to mind naturally, even when you're not studying. 5. Focus on thinking in full sentences. Once you are comfortable with basic words and phrases, the next step is to think in complete sentences. Many learners think in single words, for example, coffee, work, hungry. But if you only think in words, your brain won't learn how to form sentences smoothly when speaking. Instead, practice forming your thoughts as full sentences. For example, instead of coffee, think, I need a cup of coffee before work. Instead of tired, think, I'm feeling tired because I went to bed late. When you form sentences, your brain starts to understand how words connect naturally in English. This habit helps you express ideas more clearly and quickly in real conversations. Don't worry about making your sentences perfect. What matters most is fluency and clarity. Over time, your sentence formation will become automatic, and you'll be able to speak and think in English effortlessly. 6. Challenge yourself with thought exercises. Doing thought exercises is another great way to practice thinking in English. These activities push your brain to stay active in English and help you think faster without translation. Here's how to do it. Pick a topic, any topic, and spend a few minutes thinking about it in English. It could be something simple like your favorite food, your plans for the weekend, or a memory from your past. For example, on Saturday, I want to visit the museum. I'll take the bus. I'm excited to see the new exhibition. I'll meet my friend Anna there. After that, we'll have lunch together. As you get comfortable, try more complex topics, like your opinion about technology, travel, or education. You can even imagine small conversations with yourself in English, where you ask and answer questions mentally. These short thought exercises train your mind to organize ideas in English, just like native speakers do. With daily practice, your brain will start using English automatically whenever you think or plan something. 7. Practice speaking out loud. Speaking out loud is one of the most effective ways to strengthen your ability to think and speak in English at the same time. If you don't have a speaking partner, don't worry, you can practice by talking to yourself. Describe what you are doing, explain your thoughts, or talk about things you've read or watched recently. For example, after watching a movie, you could say, "The movie was great. I liked the plot and the characters. I didn't expect the ending, it was really surprising." Or when you're cooking, you could say, "I'm cutting the vegetables. I'll fry them with some spices. It smells really good." This kind of self-talk might feel strange at first, but it's a powerful technique. It helps you connect thinking and speaking in English directly, without translation. The more you practice speaking out loud, the more fluent and confident you'll become in real conversations. How to train your brain to think in English. Thinking in English is one of the best ways to become fluent and confident in speaking. When you think in English, you don't waste time translating from your native language. You understand and respond faster, and your communication becomes smoother and more natural. But learning to think in English takes time, practice, and patience. Let's explore some simple, step-by-step methods and exercises that can help you train your brain to think in English every day. 1. Start with simple words. The first step is to build your English thoughts using simple vocabulary. Begin with common words that you use in daily life. For example, eat, sleep, work, home, phone, coffee, water, book, friend. When you learn new words, use them in short sentences. For instance, instead of thinking in your own language and translating, try to form direct English thoughts like, I'm hungry. I want to eat. I need my phone. It's time to go to work. This helps your brain connect English words directly to ideas, not to translations. Start small. The goal is progress, not perfection. 2. Describe what's around you. A great way to practice thinking in English is to describe what you see and do in everyday situations. For example, I'm in my room. There's a book on the table. I'm drinking coffee. The sky is blue today. You can do this anywhere, while walking, cleaning, cooking, or traveling. Try to talk to yourself in English silently in your mind. The more you describe things in English, the more natural it will become. 3. Talk to yourself in English, inner dialogue. Your inner dialogue is the voice in your head, the thoughts and questions you have during the day. Try to make that voice speak in English. For example, when you wake up, think, what should I wear today? When you feel tired, think, I need some rest. When you're planning something, think, I'll finish my homework after lunch. At first, it may feel strange or slow, but with practice, you'll start thinking automatically in English without translating. 4. Immerse yourself in English. Immersion means surrounding yourself with English as much as possible. You can do this by listening to English podcasts or songs, watching movies, YouTube videos, or TV shows in English, reading short stories, books, or articles, talking to people who speak English. Try to spend at least 30 minutes to 1 hour a day using English in some way. The more your brain hears and reads English, the faster it learns to think in it naturally. 5. Think in full sentences. When you start learning, you might think in single words like coffee or work. But to become fluent, try to form complete thoughts like, I need a cup of coffee before work. I will meet my friend at the park. Thinking in full sentences helps you speak more naturally and improves your grammar without memorizing rules. 6. Try thought exercises. Thought exercises are short mental activities that help you practice thinking in English. Here are a few examples. Choose a topic, like your weekend, your favorite movie, or your goals, and think about it in English for 5 minutes. Try to explain how to cook your favorite food in English. Imagine a conversation with a friend about something simple, like the weather or your plans. At first, this may feel slow, but it will train your mind to stay in English longer each time. 7. Speak out loud. Speaking out loud is a powerful exercise because it connects your thoughts with your spoken words. If you're alone, you can talk to yourself in English, describe what you're doing, or talk about your feelings or plans. For example, I'm cooking dinner now. Today was a busy day, but I learned something new. This movie was really interesting. This will improve both your speaking and thinking speed in English. 8. Use visual cues. You can use objects around you to help your brain think in English automatically. Try labeling things in your home or office with sticky notes. Write the English word for each item, for example, door, window, chair, mirror, refrigerator. When you see those labels, try to say the words in English and imagine short sentences like, the door is open. I can see myself in the mirror. You can also use pictures, flashcards, or apps to connect images with English words, no translation needed. 9. Be patient and consistent. Learning to think in English doesn't happen overnight. You need time, effort, and regular practice. Don't get discouraged if you still translate sometimes, that's normal. What matters is consistency. Even practicing for 10 to 15 minutes a day makes a difference. Slowly, you'll notice that English starts coming to your mind more naturally. 10. Review and reflect. Take time to check your progress once a week. Ask yourself, do I think in English more often now? Can I form sentences faster? Do I still translate, or do words come naturally? When you notice your improvement, it will motivate you to keep going. Reflection helps you see how much you've grown and reminds you that every bit of practice counts. Exercises to train your brain. 1. Label your environment. Write the English names of objects around your room or workspace on sticky notes, like table, window, laptop, fan, light. Every time you look at them, think of their English names instantly. You can also write short sentences. The fan keeps me cool. The light is bright. This connects the object directly to the English word in your mind. 2. Think in English for a set time. Choose a specific time each day to think only in English, maybe 5 minutes at first, then increase to 10, 15, or 30 minutes. During this time, try not to use your native language at all. If you don't know a word, describe it using simple English instead of translating. For example, if you forget the word refrigerator, say the big cold box for food. This practice will help you build flexibility and confidence. Final message. Thinking in English is a journey, not a race. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to keep practicing. Every small effort counts. Every mistake teaches you something new. Every time you use English reading, listening, speaking, or thinking, your brain becomes stronger and faster. Keep going step by step, stay patient, and celebrate your progress. Soon, you'll find yourself not just speaking English, but truly thinking in English. Exercises to train your brain to think in English. Thinking in English takes time, but with consistent practice and the right exercises, you can make the process much easier. Below are some simple and effective methods you can use every day to help your brain think naturally in English. 1. Think in English for a set time. Choose a specific time each day to think only in English. It could be 5 or 10 minutes at first, and you can increase the time as you get more comfortable. During this time, avoid using your native language completely. Don't translate, just think directly in English. You can think about anything. Your plans for the day: I'll go to work after breakfast. What you did yesterday: I met my friend and we watched a movie. Or what you want to eat: I feel hungry. Maybe I'll have rice and chicken. As you continue this habit, your brain will slowly start to prefer English over your native language. To make this exercise even stronger, try saying your thoughts out loud. For example, I'll have breakfast at 8 o'clock. Then I'll go to the gym. When you verbalize your thoughts, your brain connects ideas with spoken English, helping you think and speak more smoothly. 2. Describe everything around you. This is a very effective and practical exercise. Look around your environment and describe what you see in English. For example, if you're sitting in a park, you can think, the trees are green. Children are playing on the swings. The sun is shining. I can hear birds singing. Try to include as many details as possible. Describe the colors, sounds, movements, and feelings. Avoid switching to your native language, even if you forget a word. Instead, use simple English to describe it. For example, if you forget the word bench, say the thing I sit on in the park. This method helps your brain link English words directly to objects and ideas. Over time, you'll stop translating and start thinking in English automatically. 3. Have silent conversations. Imagine you're having a conversation in English, but only in your mind. You can picture talking with a friend, a classmate, or even a famous person. Ask and answer questions just like in a real discussion. Hey, how are you today? I'm fine, thanks. I'm just studying English. That's great. What are you learning? Try to imagine both sides of the conversation. Respond naturally and don't worry about mistakes. The goal is to train your brain to form responses in English without pausing or translating. This practice helps you become faster and more confident when speaking with real people later. 4. Write a journal in English. Writing is one of the most powerful ways to develop English thinking skills. Start keeping a short daily journal. Write about what you did, what you plan to do, how you feel, or what you're thinking about. For example, today was a busy day. I went to work in the morning. In the afternoon, I met my friend at a cafe. We talked about our future plans. I felt really happy. You don't need to write perfectly. Just focus on expressing your thoughts in English. Avoid translating from your native language. If you don't know a word, use a simple explanation or look it up in a dictionary, but stay in English as much as possible. Over time, you'll notice that writing helps you think in full sentences, organize your thoughts clearly, and improve your vocabulary naturally. 5. Listen and mimic. Listening is another key skill for thinking in English. When you listen to native speakers, your brain learns how English sounds and flows. You can listen to English podcasts, news broadcasts, YouTube videos, movies or TV shows. As you listen, pay attention to pronunciation, tone, and sentence rhythm. Then, mimic what you hear. Repeat the phrases or sentences exactly as the speaker says them. For example, if you hear someone say, "What are you doing today?" repeat it out loud several times until it feels natural. This technique trains your ear, your mouth, and your brain to work together in English. It also helps you build automatic thinking patterns, so the next time you hear or use those phrases, they'll come to your mind instantly. 6. Combine the exercises. To get the best results, try combining these exercises in your daily routine. In the morning, think in English for 5 minutes while getting ready. During the day, describe things around you or imagine short conversations. In the evening, write a short journal entry and listen to a podcast or short video. By practicing regularly, even for a few minutes each day, you'll slowly rewire your brain to think in English more naturally and confidently. Final thought. Thinking in English doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process. But every time you practice, you're moving closer to fluency. Be patient, stay consistent, and celebrate small improvements. Remember, every English thought, sentence, or idea you form is a victory. With time and practice, you'll not only speak English, you'll live in English. More exercises to help you think in English naturally. Thinking in English doesn't happen overnight. It's a skill that grows with time, consistency, and daily effort. The more you surround yourself with English and use it in different ways, the more natural it will feel. Here are more simple but powerful exercises that will train your brain to think directly in English and make you more confident every day. 1. Improve pronunciation by listening and copying. When you listen carefully to native speakers and try to copy the way they talk, you're not just improving pronunciation, you're training your brain to think in English sounds and rhythm. You start noticing how words connect in natural speech, how sentences flow, and how tone and emotion are used. Over time, this habit helps you internalize the natural flow of English. Soon, when you think of a word or phrase, your mind will automatically form it the way a native speaker would. It's like learning a song. The more you listen and repeat, the more it becomes part of you. 2. Use English dictionaries. Instead of using a bilingual dictionary that translates words into your native language, switch to an English dictionary. When you look up a new word, you'll read its meaning in English, see example sentences, and learn how it's used naturally. For example, if you search the word excited, you might see feeling very happy and enthusiastic about something. This simple process forces your brain to stay in English. You're not jumping between languages, you're building direct connections between words and their meanings. At first, it might feel a little hard, but this habit will help you think faster and understand new vocabulary more deeply. 3. Watch movies and shows without subtitles. Watching English movies or TV shows is one of the most enjoyable ways to train your brain. At the beginning, you can watch with English subtitles. But once you feel a bit more confident, challenge yourself to watch without subtitles. You might not understand every single word, and that's okay. Focus on the story, the emotions, and the expressions. Try to guess the meaning of words from the situation or the tone of voice. After you finish watching, think or speak about what you saw. The movie was about friendship. The main character was brave. I liked the ending. This reflection helps your brain process English naturally, just like it does in your first language. With time, you'll start following English conversations easily, without translating. 4. Think in English while doing daily tasks. This is one of the easiest and most effective exercises. Whatever you're doing, cooking, cleaning, walking, or getting ready for work, try to describe your actions in English. For example, I'm cutting vegetables. Now I'm boiling the water. I'll make tea after this. It may sound simple, but this habit keeps your brain active in English throughout the day. Soon, you won't need to remind yourself to think in English, it will happen automatically. You can also challenge yourself by describing things around you, such as, the sky is cloudy today. The traffic is heavy, but the weather feels cool. These small moments of practice help you form strong mental connections between daily life and English words. 5. Practice speaking out loud, even alone. Don't wait for someone to talk to you in English. You can practice anytime, anywhere, even when you're alone. Speaking out loud helps you think and speak at the same time, just like real communication. You can talk about what you're doing, explain how you feel, or describe something you've seen. For instance, today I woke up early. I felt tired at first, but after having coffee, I felt better. Now I'm ready to start my day. Try to use full sentences rather than short words. This exercise trains your mind to form thoughts directly in English, builds fluency, and helps improve pronunciation. If you can, record yourself and listen later to notice areas where you can improve, just like a coach reviewing a game. 6. Make English a part of your everyday life. The real secret to thinking in English is immersion, surrounding yourself with the language in as many ways as possible. You can listen to English music or podcasts while walking. Change your phone or social media language to English. Write your grocery or to-do lists in English. Talk to yourself or a friend in English, even for a few minutes each day. These small habits add up over time. The more you expose your brain to English, the faster it will begin to process thoughts in English automatically. 7. Stay consistent and patient. Remember, thinking in English is a gradual journey. Some days will feel easy, and others may be frustrating, and that's completely normal. What matters most is consistency. Even 10 to 15 minutes of practice a day is far more effective than studying once a week for hours. Don't worry about mistakes. Every error you make means you're learning something new. Celebrate your progress. Every sentence you think in English, every moment you catch yourself not translating, is proof that your brain is adapting. Final words. Training your brain to think in English is not about perfection. It's about practice and persistence. Each small step, whether it's labeling things in your room, writing in a journal, or watching a movie, brings you closer to fluency. Keep practicing, keep listening, and keep speaking. Soon, English won't just be a language you study, it will become a natural part of how you think, feel, and express yourself every single day. How thinking in English leads to fluency. Becoming fluent in English is not just about learning grammar rules or memorizing new words. True fluency happens when English becomes part of your everyday thinking. When you can think directly in English, without translating from your native language, speaking, listening, and writing all become faster and more natural. Many English learners can understand the language when they read or listen, but they struggle to speak smoothly. This often happens because they still think in their native language first. They try to translate every word before saying it, which slows down their speech and makes them less confident. The real key to fluency is training your brain to think in English automatically. The connection between thinking and fluency. When you speak a language fluently, your brain works quickly. You don't stop to translate or search for words, they just come naturally. If you have to think in your native language first and then translate into English, your brain needs to do double work. This makes your speech sound slow, unnatural, and sometimes even incorrect. When you start thinking directly in English, your brain begins to process words, grammar, and ideas together in one system. English stops being a foreign language and becomes a natural tool for communication. You begin to feel more comfortable using it because your mind can form English sentences without going through translation. Thinking in English also helps you understand the small details of the language, how sentences are built, how idioms are used, and how words connect naturally. Over time, this mental shift makes your English smoother, faster, and more accurate. Benefits of thinking in English. 1. Faster and more natural conversations. One of the biggest advantages of thinking in English is speed. When your brain is used to forming thoughts in English, you can respond quickly in conversations. You don't have to stop, translate, and then speak. You simply express your thoughts as they come. For example, if someone asks you, "What did you do last weekend?" you don't pause to translate your answer. You can instantly say, "I went to the park and watched a movie with my friends." This kind of quick response makes conversations feel natural and keeps them flowing smoothly. The more you think in English, the more confident you become. You'll no longer worry about finding the right words, they'll just come to you when you need them. 2. Better pronunciation and intonation. Thinking in English also helps you sound more natural when you speak. Every language has its own rhythm and melody, and English is no different. When you think in English, your brain starts to recognize the sound patterns and stress of the language. For example, in English, we stress certain syllables or words in a sentence. Native speakers say, "Backhand index pointing right, I want to go," not "I want to go." By thinking in English, your brain gets used to this rhythm automatically. You begin to copy how native speakers talk, their tone, pronunciation, and flow. Over time, this helps your speech sound smoother and more natural, not like a direct translation from your first language. 3. Bigger vocabulary and more natural word use. When you think in English, your vocabulary grows faster. Instead of memorizing long word lists, you start learning words in context, in sentences, situations, and real conversations. You begin to understand how and when to use each word naturally. For example, you might learn that we say, "Make a mistake, but do homework." These small details are easier to remember when you think in English because your brain connects them directly to real situations, not to translated meanings. You'll also start using idioms and phrases more naturally. Expressions like "break the ice," "take your time," or "it's up to you" will feel familiar and easy to use because your mind is already working in English. 4. More confidence in communication. Thinking in English builds confidence. When you don't have to translate, you can focus on what you want to say, not how to say it. This makes speaking English less stressful and more enjoyable. You'll find yourself expressing your thoughts clearly, sharing ideas freely, and participating in discussions without fear of making mistakes. Confidence grows naturally when your brain is used to operating in English. 5. Stronger listening and understanding skills. When your mind is trained to think in English, listening becomes easier too. You start recognizing common sentence patterns, words, and tones without having to translate them. For example, when someone says, "I'll catch you later," You don't need to stop and think what each word means. You immediately understand that it means see you later. This skill helps you follow movies, podcasts, and real conversations more easily. You'll understand meaning from tone, context, and expressions, not just from individual words. How to build the habit of thinking in English. Training your brain to think in English takes time and daily practice. Here are a few tips. Talk to yourself in English while doing daily tasks. Describe what you're doing or planning to do. Write a daily journal in English about your day, your goals, or your thoughts. Listen to English every day, podcasts, songs, or short videos, and try to repeat what you hear. Use English dictionaries instead of translating into your native language. Surround yourself with English, even if you live in a non-English speaking country. The more you use English in your thoughts, the faster your brain will adapt. Final thoughts. Fluency is not just about knowing English, it's about thinking in English. When you make this mental shift, everything becomes easier. Speaking, listening, reading, and writing. You'll stop translating and start communicating naturally. At first, it might feel strange or slow, but with daily practice, you'll notice a big difference. Your thoughts will start to come in English automatically, your speech will flow smoothly, and your confidence will grow. Thinking in English is not only the path to fluency, it's the bridge between learning English and living it. How thinking in English helps you become more fluent, Part 2. Thinking in English doesn't just help you speak faster, it also improves many other parts of your English learning journey. It builds your vocabulary, strengthens your grammar, reduces stress, and helps you understand spoken English more easily. Let's look at these benefits one by one, and then explore some simple ways to start thinking in English every day. 3. A richer and more natural vocabulary. When you think in English, you start to use more natural and varied vocabulary. You don't have to stop and search for words, because they start coming to you automatically. This helps you sound more fluent and confident in everyday conversations. It also makes idiomatic expressions and phrasal verbs easier to understand and use. These can be very confusing when translated directly because they don't always make sense word for word. For example, the phrase break the ice doesn't mean to literally break ice, it means to start a conversation in a friendly way. When you think in English, your brain learns to understand this kind of phrase through context and meaning, not translation. You start to feel what sounds right instead of needing to analyze it. Over time, idioms and phrasal verbs become a natural part of your speech. 4. Less mental stress and more confidence. Constantly translating between your native language and English can be tiring and stressful. It uses a lot of energy and concentration. This is why many learners feel nervous or slow during conversations. Their brains are working too hard. When you start thinking in English, everything becomes easier and smoother. You no longer waste energy on translation. You can focus on what you want to say instead of worrying about how to say it. As a result, your mind feels more relaxed and you become more confident when speaking. The language begins to flow naturally and conversations feel more enjoyable rather than stressful. 5. Stronger grammar without memorizing. Many people think grammar is something you have to memorize, but in reality, grammar becomes natural through use. When you think in English, your brain automatically practices grammar every time you form a sentence. For example, when you say, "I'm going to the store," your brain is using correct sentence structure and verb tense without you even noticing. The more you think and speak in English, the more your brain strengthens these patterns automatically. This process helps you internalize grammar, meaning you understand and use it naturally, not just because you studied a rule. Over time, you'll make fewer mistakes and speak with more accuracy and confidence. 6. Better listening and understanding. When you think in English, your listening skills improve dramatically. You start to process what people are saying directly in English instead of translating it into your native language. Native speakers don't translate when they talk. They think and express themselves naturally. When you do the same, you start to understand them more easily. For example, when you hear someone say, "I'll catch you later," you don't stop to translate the words one by one. Your brain immediately understands that it means, "see you later." This helps you follow conversations, movies, and podcasts more easily. You'll begin to understand meaning from tone, emotion, and context, not just from individual words. How to start thinking in English. Shifting from your native language to English thinking takes practice and patience, but anyone can do it. The goal is to make English part of your daily life, so your brain starts to use it automatically. Here are a few easy ways to start training your brain. 1. Label your environment. This is a fun and effective way to start connecting English words with real objects. Take small pieces of paper and label things around your home, school, or workplace. For example, door, mirror, desk, fridge, or window. Every time you see these objects, say the English word in your mind or even aloud. This helps your brain link the English word directly to the object without needing translation. Soon, when you see a chair, you'll automatically think chair, not the word from your native language. 2. Practice inner dialogue in English. We all talk to ourselves in our heads, thinking about our plans, worries, or ideas. Try doing this in English. For example, when you're walking to the store, you might think, "I'm going to the store to buy some milk. I hope it's not too crowded today." At first, this will feel strange or slow, but with practice, it becomes easier. The more you think out loud in your head, the faster your brain learns to form complete English sentences automatically. This is one of the most powerful habits for improving fluency, and you can do it anywhere, anytime. 3. Immerse yourself in English. Surround yourself with as much English as possible. Listen to English songs, podcasts, and audiobooks. Watch movies and YouTube videos in English. Read English books, articles, or even social media posts. The more your brain hears and sees English, the more natural it becomes to think in it. You start to recognize common sentence patterns, everyday expressions, and the rhythm of the language. Try to make English part of your daily life, not just your study time. You could listen to a podcast while cleaning, think in English while walking, or write short notes to yourself in English. Final thoughts. Thinking in English is a skill that develops with time and consistent effort. It may seem difficult at first, but every small step you take brings you closer to fluency. When you start thinking in English, you stop being just a learner. You become a user of the language. English becomes part of your thoughts, your emotions, and your everyday life. So, keep practicing, stay patient, and remember, the more you live in English, the more fluent you'll become. How to keep improving and stay motivated while thinking in English. Another great way to strengthen your ability to think in English is by interacting with other people in English. Try to find opportunities to talk with native speakers or other learners. You can join language exchange programs, online discussion groups, or English conversation clubs. These real-life conversations are very effective because they train your brain to process English naturally without needing to translate each word. The more you communicate in English, the faster you'll get used to thinking and responding directly in the language. Even short chats or text exchanges in English can make a big difference. Start small and gradually increase difficulty. If thinking in English feels hard at first, don't worry, start small. Begin by thinking about simple, familiar topics such as your daily routine, favorite foods, or small tasks like shopping or cleaning. For example, while you're making breakfast, you might think, "I'm cooking eggs and making some tea. I'll eat and then get ready for work." As you get more comfortable, challenge yourself with more complex topics. You could think about your goals, your career, or even abstract ideas like happiness or success. This gradual approach helps you build confidence step by step. Over time, you'll notice that your mind starts to use English naturally without effort or stress. Why thinking in English leads to real fluency. Thinking in English is one of the most powerful and effective methods to reach fluency. It allows you to respond more quickly in conversations, speak more naturally, and understand English at a deeper level. When you stop translating and start thinking directly in English, communication becomes easier and smoother. You'll feel more confident when speaking and more connected to the language itself. Of course, this transformation takes time and consistent practice. But the effort is absolutely worth it. Every minute you spend thinking, listening, reading, or speaking in English brings you one step closer to fluency. The more you immerse yourself in English and make it part of your everyday thinking, the more fluent and natural you will become. Encouragement and motivation for English learners. Learning to think in English is not just about studying grammar or memorizing new words. It's about changing the way your mind works with the language. It's about allowing English to become a natural part of your daily thoughts, emotions, and actions. If you sometimes feel nervous or unsure about whether you can truly become fluent, remember this. Yes, you can. Fluency doesn't happen in one day. It happens gradually, through small, consistent steps. You've probably heard the saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. The same is true for language learning. There will be days when progress feels slow, or when you feel like you're not improving. That's completely normal. But even on those days, if you keep going, if you keep listening, reading, and thinking in English, you're moving forward. Every sentence you form, every word you understand, every conversation you try, all of it counts. Small improvements add up over time to create big results. So, keep going. Don't stop. You are not alone. Every English learner faces challenges. Everyone feels frustrated at times or worries about making mistakes. But remember, mistakes are not failures. They are part of the learning process. Every time you make a mistake and correct it, you learn something new and become a little more fluent. Even the most confident speakers made hundreds of mistakes before they became fluent. Fluency does not mean perfection. It means being able to express yourself clearly and naturally, even if you make small errors. So, don't be afraid of mistakes, welcome them. They are proof that you are learning, practicing, and improving. Final words of motivation. Be patient with yourself, stay curious, and practice every day, even if it's just a few minutes. Read, listen, write, speak, and most importantly, think in English. Little by little, English will stop feeling like a subject you study and start feeling like a language you live in. Your progress might be slow at first, but it's real. Keep going, stay motivated, and trust the process. The day will come when you'll realize that you're no longer translating, you're simply thinking and speaking in English with ease and confidence. Keep believing in yourself, the path to thinking and speaking fluently in English. Fluency doesn't mean speaking perfectly all the time. It means being able to communicate clearly, confidently, and naturally, even if your English isn't 100% perfect. Real fluency is about expressing your ideas and feelings so others can understand you easily. 1. Your effort is building a strong foundation. Every bit of effort you make is helping you grow. Fluency is not something that appears suddenly, it's something that you build every day through small, consistent practice. The more you think in English, the more comfortable it becomes. You might not always notice your progress, but it's happening quietly inside your mind. Every new word you learn, every sentence you form, every time you express your thoughts in English, you're building a stronger foundation. With time, this will become natural. You'll start to think and speak in English automatically without even realizing it. 2. Challenge yourself every day. At first, thinking in English might feel uncomfortable or strange. But remember, growth doesn't happen inside your comfort zone. To improve, You need to push yourself a little bit every single day. Try to describe your day in English. Think about what you see, what you're doing, or how you feel in English. If something feels a bit difficult, that's actually a good sign. It means you're learning and stretching your mind. The more you practice thinking, speaking, and even making mistakes in English, the faster your progress will be. Over time, this will become easier. You'll notice that you can speak more fluently and express your thoughts more freely without trying too hard. 3. Be patient with yourself. Patience is one of the most important parts of learning any language. There will be days when you feel frustrated. Maybe you can't find the right words, or you don't speak as smoothly as you'd like. That's normal. Don't rush the process. Fluency takes time, and every learner moves at their own pace. You are not in competition with anyone. You are on your own personal journey. Be kind to yourself. Recognize that you are improving, even when it doesn't feel like it. Every day you practice, you grow a little more. Patience leads to real, lasting progress. 4. Focus on progress, not perfection. You don't need to be perfect to be fluent. Think of fluency as a journey, not a final destination. Celebrate the small victories. When you have a conversation without stopping to translate, when you understand a movie or podcast without subtitles, when you speak more confidently than before, these are signs of real progress. They show that your brain is starting to think in English. Appreciate these moments. Every small success is proof that your effort is paying off. 5. Imagine your future self. Close your eyes and picture your future self, speaking English with confidence and ease. You're having a conversation, and the words just flow. You understand everything being said, and you respond naturally. That version of you already exists. It's just waiting to come out through practice. Every time you think in English, every time you speak, you're getting closer to that fluent, confident version of yourself. Keep this image in your mind as motivation. You are moving toward it step by step. 6. Keep the end goal in mind. Being able to think and speak fluently in English opens up a world of opportunities. Imagine traveling freely, meeting people from different countries, working in an international company, or feeling confident in any situation. English connects you to the world. It's a bridge that leads to new experiences, friendships, and success. Every effort you make today is preparing you for that future. The time and energy you invest now will pay off in ways you can't even imagine yet. 7. Find joy in the process. Yes, learning a language can be challenging, but it can also be fun, exciting, and deeply rewarding. The key is to enjoy the journey. Find ways to make English part of your life in an enjoyable way. Watch your favorite movies in English. Listen to songs and understand the lyrics. Read books or short stories that inspire you. Talk with friends or join online English groups. When you enjoy what you're doing, learning becomes easier and more natural. The process itself becomes something you look forward to, not something you force yourself to do. Final words. Remember, every learner starts somewhere, and every small step counts. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep going. Think in English. Speak in English. Live in English, little by little, every day. The more you practice, the more fluent and confident you will become. Your dream of speaking English naturally and confidently is not far away. It's already on its way to becoming reality. Fluency is about confidence, not perfection. Fluency doesn't mean speaking without mistakes. It means being able to communicate clearly, naturally, and confidently, even when your English isn't perfect. What truly matters is your ability to express yourself and connect with others. 2. Your effort is building a strong foundation. Fluency is built through consistent, daily practice. The more you think in English, the more natural it becomes. Sometimes, you may not even realize how much progress you've made because it happens gradually, deep inside your mind. Every new sentence you create, Every new word you understand, and every time you express a thought in English, you're strengthening your foundation. With time, thinking and speaking in English will become second nature to you. 3. Keep challenging yourself every day. At first, thinking in English may feel strange or uncomfortable, and that's completely normal. But remember this truth: real growth never happens inside your comfort zone. If you want to improve, you must push yourself a little bit every day. Try describing your day in English. Think about what you see, what you plan to do, or how you feel in English. The more you challenge yourself to think, speak, and even make mistakes in English, the faster you'll improve. Over time, you'll notice that speaking fluently starts to happen naturally, without much effort. 4. Be patient with yourself. Patience is one of the most powerful qualities you can develop as a language learner. Some days will feel frustrating. You might not speak as smoothly as you want to, or you might forget words you already know. That's okay. Don't rush the process. You are not competing with anyone else. This is your personal journey, and every day you're growing. Learning a language takes time, but every bit of effort brings you closer to fluency. Be kind to yourself. Progress made with patience lasts much longer than progress made in a hurry. 5. Focus on progress, not perfection. You don't have to be perfect to be fluent. Think of fluency as a journey, not a finish line. Every moment you spend thinking or speaking in English brings you closer to your goal. Celebrate your small victories. When you have a conversation without translating in your head. When you understand a podcast or movie without subtitles. When you speak more smoothly than before. These are powerful signs of progress. Every small step forward matters, and celebrating them keeps you motivated. 6. Imagine your future self. Close your eyes and picture your future self speaking English confidently and naturally. You're having a conversation, and the words flow easily. You understand everything being said, and you respond clearly. That confident version of you is real. It's already forming through every bit of practice you do now. Thinking in English every day will help you reach that version of yourself faster. Keep believing in that goal, and every day you'll move closer to it. 7. Keep the end goal in mind. Fluency in English opens so many doors. Imagine traveling the world, working in international environments, meeting people from different cultures, and expressing yourself freely in any situation. English is a bridge to those opportunities. Your effort today is building the foundation for your future success. Every moment you spend learning is preparing you for the day when English will no longer feel like a foreign language. It will simply feel like your voice. 8. Find joy in the process. Yes, learning a language can be challenging, but it can also be deeply rewarding and fun. Find ways to enjoy the journey. Watch movies and shows in English. Listen to songs and understand their lyrics. Read stories that inspire you. Talk with friends or join English clubs. The more fun you make it, the faster you'll learn. When you find joy in learning, English becomes more than a subject. It becomes a part of your life. Final thought. Every time you think in English, you are taking another step toward fluency. It doesn't happen overnight, but with consistency, patience, and positivity, it will happen. So keep going. Keep practicing. Keep believing in yourself. You are already becoming the confident English speaker you dream of being, one thought, one word, and one conversation at a time.